Welcome to the realm of Old Sovereign Doll, a world filled with whimsical wonder and terrible tragedy, where even the shadiest of corners can light your path, and wondrous woe can lead you to eternal darkness. This land has housed its share of heroic legend, but none as unorthodox as our tale today. You see, every story must begin from somewhere, whether grand or humble. But you must be wondering, dear listener, where does our epic tale of heroism and glory begin? Maybe we begin somewhere like Hillston, land of philosophers, bards, and scholars. Or perhaps somewhere less hopeful, the criminal deserts of South Ilson perhaps? Or maybe, just maybe, we begin in the uncharted lands of TecknoAXE, dragon homeland sealed away for thousands of years by a powerful wizard conclave. No, dear listener, our story takes us to none other than Sludal. Sludal, or the Sludalian Empire to some, is the human empire of the realm. With several failed attempts at colonization, the empire has seen strain from its borders. The stress shows clearly on King Jaster Gertrand, who has recently issued harsher laws against so-called bestial races. The land is full of technological improvements, and many who study the arcane at the Eastern Isle School of Arcane Arts. Not only does our adventure bring us here, but it brings us to Wahiliv. Wahiliv is the, most humble of islands along the Rye archipelago. In fact, the island's true pronunciation was lost in paperwork some time.
Alright, Ox, I haven't even had a drink, and I already want to leave this place, which is really bad to sign for me. Let's find someone with a boat and get out of here.
And so enters the beginning of our motley party. Ladorna was once a tiefling rogue who lived in Killimont, the capital city of Hillston. Living in the squalor of such a large city, Ladorna grew a hatred for those in power, who never suffered as others had. Following a near encounter with death, Ladorna was taken care of by a mysterious tiefling scientist named Bios. During her recovery, her and Bios grew closer and closer until they had fallen in love. Ladorna put down her daggers for a time, following Bios as he shared knowledge with the rest of the world. After an encounter where she realized she was becoming one of the social elites she hated so much, Ladorna decided to use her position to take down those in power who didn't deserve it. While hunting down information about a major businessman named Mr. Magistar, Ladorna got into a physical altercation. After crawling her way back to Bios' house, she died, succumbing to her wounds. The next thing Ladorna remembered was waking up on a lab table in Bios' house. Ladorna had been made into an atrocious mass of flesh and bone, only able to mimic the appearance of her former self. Ladorna ran from the house, and after months of stowing away on boats and traveling, had landed in this town. Through passing, she heard tales of the Seven Sisters, a powerful cabal of magic users who may know how to help her.
Oh, okay. Any idea where to find a boat?
Ox, the half-minotaur, half-tiefling barbarian. He was exiled from his village for his outwardly bestial appearance. After spending years traveling and surviving in the wilderness, Ox had never found a place where he felt at home. In his travels, Ox has recently met Ladorna while stowing away on a ship. The two found kinship in their ostracism from the outside world, and had decided to stick together for the time being.
Well, I mean, this is a fishing village, right? Someone here has to own a boat that can take us to the mainland.
Guess that makes sense.
Alright then, let's ask around, and, certainly keep an eye out if there's any gold to be made here, because commoners tend to be on the dull side.
Oh, Bellator! You can't come in here and begin knocking things around again. You know my boss hates it when you do that.
I'm sorry, Shaquille.
Another member of this intrepid tale. Bellator Sanctus was born here in Wahiliv, and lives on the outskirts with his family. Though his life has been simple, it has not been easy. Through Bellator's life, he has seen the passing of his little sister in a bear attack, and his father of illness. Now, it is just him and his mother, Robin Sanctus, making enough to live as she works at her apothecary. He follows Rhea, goddess of the moon, change, and acceptance.
I'll clean it up, Shaquille. I'm so sorry.
Hey, Ox, you see that? Do you know what that is?
A fool?
Well, yeah, but what else?
Twink.
What? No, that ox is a walking bag of money, just waiting to be spilled. Hey there, kid. You know, I have quite the proposition.
Hey, don't scam that guy.
And of course, Silver. Silver Knight is a winged wood elf druid from a few islands north of Wahalev. Once long ago, she was exiled from her elven village for her appearance. She has spent almost 100 years traveling the Rye Archipelago, searching possibly for something not even she can describe. She loves all things in nature, plants, animals that are plants, and plants that are animals. Her travels have brought her to a few towns, but this is her first time in Wahalev.
What? No! I wasn't scamming this kid. I was helping him. Financially.
That's the literal definition of scamming someone.
And finally, the last piece of our party. Arrtaron Meldrin is a human artificer who was adopted at birth. He was adopted by his mentor, Nora Meldrin, who taught him everything he knows about the arcane and ways to influence it. Nora was an elf who took peace in the solitude of their home in the woods near the Sladolian capital. Mere months ago, Nora had passed away, leaving Arrtaron with no one. Arrtaron came to this island to clear his head of his recent loss, and to find a new mentor and a way to improve his skills.
Hey, hang on. Are you guys guards or something?
I say I'm gonna walk up to Ladorna and put my hand on the table.
And so begins the story of our party. Our two stories, Ladorna and Ox, seek to find a way off of Wahalev and to the mainland of Sladal. As they wait for a ship to arrive in town, Arrtaron asks around the village for any knowledge of inventors or artificers in the area. Receiving no good news, Arrtaron finds Ladorna and Ox, and they agree to travel together for protection. Arrtaron, being from Sladal's mainland, warns that travel there is unsafe. Not wanting to take any chances, Ladorna convinces Bellator, who she considers a cheap alternative to a mercenary, to follow her and her company on a grand adventure. Bellator tells his mother the news, and her worry is clear as she leaves her apothecary early in the hands of her assistants. That night, Ladorna finds Bellator's mother, and the two have a long conversation. Ladorna promises to protect Bellator, and Robin accepts her promise. When the ship arrives the following morning, the party finds the crew on board dead, with black blood pouring from their eyes, ears, noses, and mouths, and with great antlers sprouting from the sides of their skull. The captain of the ship, still alive, hobbles out bleeding the same black blood and crumbles unconscious on the deck. Bellator's mother takes the captain to her home to tend to him, and the island is put on lockdown. Silver, now worried by the recent events, finds the party and offers to travel with them. A local hero of the town, an elven hunter named Yagrelian, invites the town to a celebration at the inn to keep the people's minds off of everything. During the celebration, the corpses of the crew attack our heroes, attempting to kill everyone inside. The party emerges victorious in fighting them off and discover Yagrelian seemingly infected by whatever ailment afflicted the crew. The party, now worried, speaks amongst each other that night of a plan to leave the island. The party decides to commandeer the ship and leave. Knowing none of them have the skill to sail, they decide to seek out help. Ladorna, especially interested in the sickness, decides she will go on her own to find out more. As the party turns in for the night, Bellator discovers his mother drunk in their house. Bellator puts her to sleep and warily inspects the captain in the guest room before turning in. The next morning, Bellator awakes to find his mother missing through an open window and the captain dead, with antlers sprouting from his skull. Bellator leads all but Ladorna to a mercenary named Jeffin Ragnar, who lives in the outskirts of town. After hitting it off with Ox, Jeffin agrees to sail with the party to the nearest town on the mainland. Meanwhile, Ladorna, posing as a doctor, gains passage into Yagrelian's house. There, she takes a sample of his blood before meeting up with everyone else. That afternoon, the party sneaks onto the ship and clears the remaining corpses. They raise the anchor and prepare the sails to take off. As they leave, the party hears screams from the village, prompting them to leave quicker. The party sets sail into the Mayborn Sea, leaving behind the village of Wehalev.